Most people assume building a one-year food supply is expensive, complicated, or only possible for hardcore preppers. The truth is the opposite. A complete calorie-sufficient food supply for an entire year can be built for less than $1 per day, using items already sitting on grocery store shelves. No specialty survival food, no overpriced kits, no gimmicks. When food prices rise, shelves empty, or supply chains break, those who prepare cheaply and early are the ones who stay calm. Everyone else pays more or goes without. This guide breaks down the cheapest, most practical way to build a one-year food supply that can last up to 25 years when stored correctly. It focuses on real numbers, real foods, and real storage methods that everyday households can actually follow. This approach removes guesswork. It explains exactly how much food is needed, how many calories matter, which grocery store staples provide the best value, and how to store them safely for decades. It also addresses a common misconception, that everything must be bought at once. This system works whether the food is purchased gradually or in bulk, depending on budget and pace. The goal is not comfort food or luxury meals. The goal is calorie security, long shelf life, and affordability. This is about building a foundation that works when conditions are uncertain and money is tight. By the end of this breakdown, the path to a one-year food supply becomes clear, achievable, and far less expensive than most people expect. Calorie math, the foundation of a $1 per day food supply. Before any food is purchased, one thing has to be clear. This is not about meals, recipes, or comfort at first. It is about fuel. Calories are the currency of survival. When food planning ignores calorie math, people often end up with shelves full of items that look reassuring, but fail when it actually matters. A realistic baseline for long-term planning is around 2,200 calories per person per day. This number is not extreme, but it is also not generous. It assumes basic physical activity, higher stress levels, and the reality that daily life during disruptions often involves more movement, more labor, and fewer conveniences. Over 1 year, that daily requirement adds up fast. Multiplied by 365 days, the target becomes approximately 800,000 calories for one adult. This number can feel intimidating at first, but it becomes manageable once it is broken down. The mistake most people make is trying to meet calorie needs with expensive, short shelf life foods. That approach fails both financially and logistically. The cheapest path is to rely on bulk staples that deliver a high calorie return per dollar. Grains such as rice, wheat, corn, and pasta form the foundation because they are inexpensive, compact, and extremely calorie dense. Beans and legumes add protein and help balance nutrition while still remaining affordable. Fats, like cooking oil, dramatically increase calorie totals with very little storage space, making them one of the most cost-effective tools in a long-term food plan. Sweeteners such as sugar also play a role by providing fast energy and improving food morale, which matters more than most people expect over long periods. When the math is divided across the year, this system becomes surprisingly structured. Instead of thinking in terms of daily meals, the focus shifts to monthly and annual consumption. Roughly speaking, a one-year supply breaks down into predictable quantities of grains, beans, fats, and supporting items that can be purchased gradually rather than all at once. This is what makes a one-year food supply possible, even on a tight budget. Long-term food security is not built by variety. It is built by consistency. A small list of reliable, calorie-dense foods can sustain someone for an entire year if the math is correct. Everything else, storage methods, rotation, and food variety, exists to protect that calorie investment. This calorie-first approach removes guesswork, prevents overbuying the wrong foods, and keeps costs under control. It is the foundation that allows a full year of food to be built for less than $1 per day, using nothing more than standard grocery store items. The cheapest foods that carry the entire plan. Once calorie targets are clear, the next step is choosing foods that do the most work for the least money. This is where most budgets are either protected or destroyed. A one-year food supply under $1 per day only works if the bulk of calories come from a small group of proven, low-cost staples. At the core of this plan are grains. White rice, wheat, corn, oats, barley, and pasta are inexpensive, widely available and capable of lasting decades when stored correctly. These foods are not exciting, but they are efficient. They provide carbohydrates for energy, take up relatively little space and can be purchased in bulk from warehouse stores or even regular grocery chains. When bought in large quantities, grains often cost just pennies per serving, which is exactly what keeps the daily cost so low. Next come beans and legumes, which balance the grain-heavy calorie load with protein, fiber, and minerals. Pinto beans, black beans, kidney beans, and split peas are some of the cheapest protein sources available. When paired with grains, they form complete proteins that support long-term health. Dried beans also store exceptionally well and can last decades without refrigeration, making them a cornerstone of any low-cost, long-term plan. Cooking fats are often overlooked, but they are one of the most important components of a budget food supply. Oil is calorie-dense, meaning a small amount adds a large number of calories. This dramatically boosts daily intake without increasing food volume or cost. Vegetable oil, olive oil, coconut oil, or shortening can all play a role, though they do require rotation since fats eventually go rancid. Even so, their calorie-to-cost ratio is hard to beat. Sweeteners, especially plain white sugar, serve a dual purpose. They are extremely cheap, store indefinitely, and provide quick energy when physical or mental stress is high. Sugar also improves food morale and makes otherwise bland staples easier to eat day after day. While not nutritionally complete on its own, it supports both calorie needs and long-term sustainability of the diet. Finally, salt rounds out the cheapest essentials. It costs very little, lasts forever if kept dry, and plays a critical role in both health and food preparation. Beyond seasoning, salt supports hydration, preserves foods, and prevents electrolyte imbalance over long periods. Together, these foods form the backbone of the entire system. They're not luxury items, and they're not chosen for comfort. They're chosen because they are cheap, reliable, calorie-dense, and accessible at almost any grocery store. This is what makes the plan scalable, repeatable, and realistic for everyday people, not just dedicated preppers. With these staples alone, it becomes possible to meet a full year of calorie needs without specialty foods, expensive kits, or ongoing subscriptions. Everything else added later is meant to support variety, nutrition, and quality of life. But this core is what makes the $1 per day goal achievable. Protein, without breaking the budget. Protein is where most long-term food plans quietly fail. Meat is expensive, fresh protein spoils quickly, and many people assume a one-year supply means spending thousands. That assumption is wrong. The cheapest and most reliable protein sources have already been sitting on grocery store shelves for decades. Dried beans and legumes remain the primary protein engine of a low-cost plan. Pound for pound, they deliver far more protein per dollar than meat. Pinto beans, black beans, lentils, kidney beans, and split peas are widely available, inexpensive, and capable of long-term storage when kept dry and oxygen-free. When combined with grains like rice or wheat, they provide complete amino acid profiles that support muscle maintenance and energy over long periods. Textured plant proteins and dried peas are another overlooked option. These items are often sold cheaply in bulk sections or ethnic food aisles and store exceptionally well. They absorb flavors easily and stretch meals without increasing cost. In a survival or budget-focused scenario, the goal is not variety, it is consistency and adequacy. Canned meats play a limited but strategic role. Tuna, chicken, sardines, and shelf-stable luncheon meats cost more per calorie than beans but provide essential fats, vitamin B12, and psychological relief. The key is moderation. When used as supplements rather than staples, canned meat adds nutritional depth without destroying the budget. Even small amounts spaced out over weeks can significantly improve diet balance. Powdered and shelf-stable protein sources, such as dry milk alternatives or baking-based proteins, help fill gaps without refrigeration. These are not meant to replace fresh food, but to support long-term nutrition when options are limited. Stored properly, they last for years and integrate easily into daily meals. Protein does not need to be expensive to be effective. A one-year food supply under $1 per day relies on plant-based protein as the foundation, with animal protein used sparingly and intentionally. This approach mirrors how populations have survived shortages throughout history, not through abundance, but through balance and discipline. When protein choices are made strategically, long-term health remains intact, costs stay controlled, and the food supply remains realistic for everyday households. not just extreme scenarios. Fats and oils, the most overlooked calorie source. A one-year food supply fails quickly without fat. Calories from grains and beans keep the body moving, but fats are what maintain energy, warmth, hormone function, and long-term stamina. But the problem is that fats are also the most fragile part of any storage plan, especially when working with low-cost grocery store items. This section is about choosing the right fats, storing them correctly, and using them efficiently. Cooking oils provide more calories per dollar than almost any other food item. Vegetable oil, canola oil, and shortening are inexpensive and widely available. Even small quantities dramatically increase total calorie intake. The mistake many people make is assuming oil is optional. It is not. Without it, meals become harder to digest, energy drops faster, and food fatigue sets in quickly. Shelf-stable solid fats such as shortening and ghee last longer than liquid oils and are more resistant to oxidation. These fats tolerate heat better and remain usable when stored in cool, dark conditions. They're especially valuable for baking, frying, and adding density to otherwise bland meals. Because fat intake requirements are lower by volume, a relatively small storage footprint provides months of nutritional value. Rotation matters more with fats than any other category. Unlike grains or beans, oils will eventually go rancid. The strategy is not to store large amounts untouched for decades, but to cycle them through regular use while replacing them gradually. This keeps the total cost low and prevents waste while maintaining a constant reserve. Fat also improves morale. This is often ignored, but critical. Meals with no fat are not just less nutritious, they are mentally draining. A spoon of oil, a pan-fried grain, or a richer texture can turn survival food into something sustainable over time. In a budget-focused, one-year food plan, fats are not stored for luxury. They are stored for function. When chosen carefully, rotated responsibly, and used sparingly, fats and oils become one of the cheapest and most powerful tools for keeping calorie intake high while keeping daily costs low. Cheap sweeteners and morale foods that make a one-year supply. Sustainable. A one-year food supply is not just a math problem, it's a psychological problem. Even the cheapest, most calorie-efficient food plan will fail if people stop eating it. This is where sweeteners and morale foods become critical, not as luxuries, but as functional survival tools. Sweeteners are one of the cheapest ways to add calories and motivation. Sugar, syrups, and similar grocery store staples provide fast energy at a very low cost per calorie. A single pound of sugar contains over 1,700 calories and costs less than most protein bars or snacks. Over a year, that adds up to real energy at almost no budget impact. Morale matters more than most people expect. Eating the same bland meals every day wears people down mentally. When morale drops, appetite drops. That leads to skipped meals, lower calorie intake, and faster physical decline. A small amount of sweetness can completely change how a meal is perceived, making basic foods easier to eat long term. Sweeteners extend food usability. Grains like oats, wheat, and rice become far more tolerable when paired with sugar, syrup, or jam. Sweeteners also allow simple foods to be repurposed into porridges, flatbreads, or baked items, increasing variety without adding cost. Preservation is another hidden benefit. Sugar acts as a natural preservative. It can be used to extend the shelf life of fruit, create jams, or stabilize simple homemade foods. This adds flexibility to a long-term plan built on grocery store items. Morale foods should be intentional, not random. The goal is not junk food stockpiling. Items should be shelf-stable, cheap, calorie-dense, and versatile. Think simple sweeteners, drink mixes, or basic flavor additions that turn survival food into something people actually want to eat. Small quantities go a long way. A one-year supply does not require massive amounts of sweeteners. Even modest amounts spread across months can provide psychological relief, energy boosts, and meal variety when it's needed most. A food plan that ignores morale fails quietly. People don't run out of food, they stop eating it. Cheap sweeteners help prevent that, making a low-cost one-year food supply realistic, sustainable, and survivable, not just affordable. Storage mistakes that turn cheap food into wasted food. Buying food cheaply is only half the equation. Storing it wrong turns even the best budget plan into a slow failure. Most long-term food losses don't happen because the food was bad. They happen because of heat, moisture, oxygen, light, and pests. Heat is a silent shelf life killer. Every increase in temperature dramatically shortens how long food lasts. Cheap food stored in a hot garage or attic can lose years of shelf life in a single summer. The goal is always the coolest, stable location available: closets, underbeds, interior rooms, or temperature-controlled basements. Oxygen destroys food quietly. Grains, beans, and pasta exposed to air slowly oxidize, lose nutrients, and attract insects. This is why long-term storage relies on airtight containers and oxygen absorbers. Even grocery store food can last decades when oxygen is removed. Without it, the same food may fail in just a few years. Moisture causes fast, irreversible damage. A single humid season can introduce mold, clumping, and spoilage. Food should never be stored directly on concrete floors or near exterior walls where condensation forms. Elevation and airflow matter more than most people realize. Light degrades nutrition over time. Vitamins break down when exposed to light, especially in clear containers. Food stored in opaque buckets or dark spaces retains nutritional value far longer than food left on open shelves. Rodents and insects are guaranteed, not optional. Grocery store food already contains insect eggs. That's normal. Oxygen absorbers prevent them from hatching, but only if the packaging is intact. Soft packaging alone is not enough. All long-term food must be inside hard containers to prevent chewing, crushing, or contamination. Labeling failures create waste. Unlabeled food leads to forgotten food. Forgotten food leads to expired food. Every container should clearly show contents and storage date. Cheap food is only cheap if it's actually used when needed. Rotation prevents panic. A one-year supply should not be mysterious or untouched. Periodic checks ensure seals are intact, containers are dry, and food remains usable. This does not require constant rotation, just awareness. The biggest mistake people make is assuming cheap food is disposable. In reality, cheap food stored correctly becomes some of the most reliable food on earth. Stored wrong, it becomes clutter. Maximizing space and budget in small homes building a one-year food supply on less than $1 a day doesn't mean having a sprawling pantry or extra rooms. Many people live in apartments or small homes, which makes space optimization just as important as cost. The goal is to store a full year's worth of calories efficiently, without clutter or wasted space. Use vertical space wisely. Shelving units that go from floor to ceiling allow you to store buckets, totes, and Mylar bags stacked safely. Each shelf should be labeled with food type, quantity, and storage date for quick access. Buckets and totes are versatile. 5-gallon food-grade buckets serve double duty. They protect food from moisture, pests, and crushing, while also acting as stackable storage units. Smaller items like spices, dried fruits, or instant drinks fit well into storage totes inside shelves for easy rotation. Go modular. Instead of buying single huge quantities of one food, divide it into smaller containers. This allows access to some food without opening the entire supply, which reduces spoilage and oxygen exposure. Optimize for calories per cubic foot. Foods like rice, wheat, beans, pasta, and sugar pack a lot of calories into small spaces. These staples form the core of your supply, while smaller, more expensive items like powdered juice, spices, or freeze-dried fruits are secondary. Rotate strategically. Even if your goal is long-term storage, having a small working supply on the top shelf or front of the pantry ensures you can use and rotate food without disrupting the bulk supply. This keeps food fresh and prevents panic if an emergency hits before the full year's plan is complete. Label everything clearly. Each container should have the food type, storage date, and approximate weight. Adding QR codes or a simple spreadsheet system can speed up inventory management and prevent forgotten food, which is a common hidden cost of a long-term plan. Hidden storage is essential. Under beds, inside closets, or even behind furniture can serve as additional storage without crowding living areas. Lightweight items like flour, sugar, or grains fit easily into tight spots if stacked safely. Modular storage also allows for incremental buying. Instead of spending hundreds at once, you can gradually build the supply, storing each batch efficiently and making adjustments as prices fluctuate. This approach ensures maximum calories, minimal cost, and long-term usability even in limited spaces. Water, cooking, and fuel considerations. A one-year food supply is only effective if there is sufficient water and the ability to cook it safely. Proper planning ensures that stored calories are usable and food remains safe to eat. Water is critical not just for drinking, but also for cooking and basic hygiene. The standard guideline is 1 gallon of water per person per day, which adds up to approximately 365 gallons per person for a full year. While this may seem overwhelming, it can be managed through a combination of large containers, smaller jugs, and repurposed 2 to 5 gallon bottles. Water should always be stored in a cool, dark place, and using stabilizers or rotating it every 6 to 12 months helps maintain freshness and safety. Cooking without electricity is another essential consideration. Many staple foods such as rice, beans, pasta, and grains require heat to become edible. Off-grid cooking options include propane or butane stoves, which are compact and efficient for small batches, solar ovens for sunny climates, and wood-burning stoves or fireplaces that can serve both heating and cooking needs. For fuel-dependent methods, it's important to store enough fuel to last a year, or have a plan to acquire more. Fuel should always be kept away from heat sources and flames and rotated periodically to prevent degradation. Water purification is equally important. Even if water is stored, local water sources may need to be used during emergencies. Boiling for at least 1 minute, using chemical tablets, or filtering ensures safety. Having multiple backup methods for purifying water is recommended. Cooking efficiency is also critical to conserve fuel and maximize calorie use. Batch cooking of grains, beans, and soups allows for large quantities to be prepared at once, then portioned and stored for later use. One-pot meals reduce fuel consumption and cleanup while ensuring meals are ready and nutritious. Finally, emergency supplements and beverages such as powdered electrolytes, coffee, tea, and powdered milk can enhance hydration, energy, and morale during extended periods. Combining food, water, and cooking solutions ensures that a one-year food supply is fully functional and practical. Without these elements, even the most extensive pantry will have limited value. Supplements are always spices and quality of life items. A long-term food supply is about more than just calories and basic nutrition. Adding supplements, spices, and other quality of life items ensures that the food is not only edible, but also enjoyable and sustainable over months of use. Vitamins and minerals are essential, especially if the diet relies heavily on grains, beans, and other shelf-stable staples. A basic multivitamin for each person can prevent deficiencies and maintain health over the year. Electrolyte powders, especially in hot climates or for active individuals, help maintain hydration and prevent fatigue. Spices and seasonings are crucial for meal variety and morale. Food stored for a year without flavor can become psychologically exhausting, leading to food fatigue. Essential spices include salt, pepper, garlic, ginger, paprika, cumin, oregano, thyme, cinnamon, and chili powder. Simple condiments like ketchup, mustard, vinegar, and mayonnaise can transform basic staples into more satisfying meals. Dehydrated onions, garlic powder, and bouillon cubes add depth to soups, stews, and grains, making repetitive meals more palatable. Other quality of life items include coffee, tea, chocolate, and powdered milk, which provide comfort and a sense of normalcy. Instant coffee, tea bags, and powdered milk can last years when stored properly, giving a mental boost during stressful periods. Cooking oil, ghee, or shortening adds necessary fats and improves flavor while also providing essential calories. Including these items makes the long-term food supply more versatile and realistic for everyday consumption. While calories and shelf life are critical, the ability to enjoy meals without losing morale is equally important. A pantry that is nutritious but monotonous is less likely to be used efficiently and could result in wasted food or decreased compliance with daily rations. Successfully creating a one-year food supply for less than $1 a day is not just about buying bulk staples, it's about planning, organization, and smart storage. By combining grains, beans, oils, sweeteners, powdered milk, dried fruits and vegetables, protein sources, and quality of life items like spices and coffee, a fully functional, long-term food pantry can be established using only grocery store items. When stored correctly, many of these foods can last 20 years or more, providing security, stability, and peace of mind. The key to long-term success is structure. Using airtight Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, Food-grade buckets and clearly labeled storage bins protects your food from moisture, pests, and spoilage. Proper storage techniques, along with thoughtful rotation and inventory tracking, ensure that your food remains safe, accessible, and ready when you need it. Organizing your pantry with a clear system saves time, reduces waste, and makes daily meal preparation simpler even in an emergency. This approach removes the guesswork and allows anyone, even those with limited experience, to build a reliable and cost-effective food supply. It emphasizes practicality over complexity, focusing on real-world usefulness, affordability, and longevity. By following these principles, a one-year supply becomes attainable, manageable, and sustainable. Ultimately, the system isn't just about survival, it's about resilience. With the right preparation, a modest investment, and a little organization, it is possible to ensure that you and your family will have enough food to last a full year, maintaining health, energy, and morale, even in challenging times. A food supply like this provides not just nourishment, but confidence, security, and the ability to face uncertainty with readiness. Now that you've seen how to build a one-year food supply for less than $1 a day, what would you start stocking first? Do you already have any long-term staples in your pantry, or would this be your first time planning a full year's supply? Share your thoughts and tips in the comments below, and let's help each other build smarter, more reliable food supplies.